Hello everybody, this will be a review of case and population health management. These are not new topics to you guys because you had this last year in community health, but it's just that in doing service learning as a leader, you have to be able to look at your patient population and recognize that for many of you, if you were going to be leaders in an inpatient setting, your role is not to just look at the inpatient population service, but you have to be able to really connect and partner with agencies in an effective way so that the entire population that you're serving in your service line is properly being managed and having the adequate outcomes that you expect overall, and kind of contributing to overall improvements in disease management as well as individual case management. You have different definitions here for case management, for disease management, and for population health management. And the biggest thing to take away is your focus should be really on population health management across the healthcare continuum, even though that is broken down to looking at sort of case-by-case management often in a hospital setting, and then disease management, which may have some input in review on the inpatient side and out to the outpatient side, but many times disease management is looked at across the entire health system, and it also can be, even partnering with public health many times to look at how can a hospital really be a partner with public health on how to manage disease. So, but with this exercise that you're doing for class today, I want you to really focus on many of the population health strategies, and sometimes that you may use some of the models and ideas that are in case management, in disease management or chronic disease management, to kind of think more broadly about how to assess your patient population, what types of resources are out there on the inpatient side, on other units that you might transition clients to. How do we internally manage this patient population? Where do they transition to when they leave the hospital? And what partnerships out there should we really have so that we have ongoing feedback and really as a team being leaders in population health management. These are just some details that kind of you may want to kind of commit to memory. There were specific case management legislation that was an early spurner in terms of development of case management models, because there was the need there to really look at how to best ensure that certain types of patients really got the best and most comprehensive care that they could. You had case management models then develop in both nursing and non-nursing models, and we'll look at a few of those. And it's interesting to note that case management process that we'll look at here in a minute really does align with the nursing process. You'll see a lot of the same key elements. And nowadays we see a huge focus on patient-centered focused strategies and ways to really coordinate care and patients to be supported towards self-care types of ways. These are just some service components that are common to all of case management models. So you can see a lot of terms in there already that kind of focus a lot and align sort of with nursing process. A case manager in an organization is a leader in an organization as well. And so these are some of the key activities if you were ever serving in that type of role that would be a huge portion of the things that you do day to day. In terms of two basic nursing case management models, the New England Medical Center in Boston really was one of the first to kind of come up with, on the inpatient side, a method for managing cases. And this was kind of born out of Medicare coming out with reimbursement plans in the late 1980s, I think it was, where, for a specific diagnostic relating grouping, which you would call, people abbreviate DRGs now. If I had a certain diagnosis, basically, you get X amount of dollars or X amount of days for that person to be here in your facility. And so, to ensure that everybody really could get all the things done efficiently in those amount of days, New England Medical Center was one of the very first that came up with the use of what they called clinical paths or care maps. And these were actual documents that outlined on day one, you got a CBC, or you got this diagnostic test, or you had certain things, antibiotics started, or what have you. And so by day 2 or 3, the expectations of how you had progressed would be listed there. Other teaching things, other medical and or nursing interventions that were needed to be done. And every single day you would have a meeting to kind of look at how are we doing on the clinical path. Are we on target with this person being discharged by day 7, because that was the limit? And so what these types of this model did was meant to really ensure that every client got the same kind of care, but also to help identify when people were not progressing and if other interventions were needed. So it was a case management model that was born there, ended up getting implemented all across in the country in terms of acute care hospitals. Another major model that is in nursing was the Carondelet St. Mary's model, and it was focused on outpatient care. It's one of the first models that really began to make the case that a BSN level education or a MSN level education should be what case managers were. And the literature really had a lot of angst on that, because as you imagine, not every outpatient setting or health department or what have you at that time had folks that they had many people managing cases from different disciplines even, much less that they had to have higher levels of degrees to really be able to fully have the knowledge base to be able to do chronic disease coordination. So it was very instrumental in making the case that nurses really should be the key people, and highly educated nurses should be the ones that should be doing chronic disease coordination. These are just a list of many other models. I did put you in the speaker notes several definitions so that those are there in easy access. I want to talk, you can kind of see that social work had some of their own models. Insurance companies have developed other models that we kind of have to deal with sometimes. If anybody that goes to ever work in an insurance company, you'll be made aware of how those are. And then there also have been chronic disease care models. Wagner's is one of the most important ones. And then more and more we see more interdisciplinary models, and I'll mention a couple of those briefly. The Wagner chronic care model is one if you are working with a chronic disease as one of your patient population things. Take a really good look as a team at this model and try to think about maybe your service learning plan. using this. It's a very good depiction of, everything that maybe can help with chronic care delivery and chronic care management of a disease. So if you look on the right side, you see clinical information systems. Wagner really believed that you had to have information systems that were accurate, that gave you detail, where you could pull and screen patients with certain diagnoses, with certain conditions, with certain problems or lab levels or different things that would give you more detail on patients. So that component had to be really important in being able to have the information you needed at your fingertips to be able to do the best chronic care. Secondly, you had to have things that were in that information system that gave you the ability to do decision support. Meaning, if somebody suddenly has higher glucose levels for the last month, there should be some type of alerts and supports within the information system that gave you detail. You should be able to pull large amounts of data from your information system to decide, how much of these people are even needing our service for something. So just on the informatics side, that was an important part of Wagner's model. Wagner's model also looked at delivery system design. How's this patient population being cared for in our institution? That might be across many different nursing units, from the ER all the way to a skilled facility. And then looking at what are all those transitions as a patient moves from one of those areas to the other. And in the more global health system, maybe they're even, discharged to the care of one of our primary care physicians. How do we structure that as well? Another key component is self-management support, and that patients really have to be able to gain ability to self-manage chronic disease, and so having the right mix of resources and things available to them is key, as well as what kind of resources are out in the larger community that help support that. And through having all these things integrated, Wagner believed that you would have drastically improved outcomes for that patient population. So when you're thinking about a chronic condition that you might choose, this gives you a good format for thinking through it. You may also come across a disease that's part of your patient population that's key, that really is an interprofessional. In other words, what if you have a patient population that has a serious respiratory condition? Then you also might want to think about, how do we partner, or how do we work the very best with respiratory on this project, both inpatient and outpatient? And so just to be a little bit aware, there's a newer model for, you hear us talk about interprofessional education on here at the nursing school or at the College of Health Sciences, and it's really a new focus from about 2007 forward on making sure that health professional students get trained together on certain things, because currently everybody's kind of siloed into their own schools, and then when they graduate and go to work, suddenly now we're expecting them to all be able to collaborate. And so they do have a list of interprofessional competencies, and I provided you a link there. So just kind of thinking about patient and family centered, community and population oriented, and then how more than one discipline might work on a project. This can give you some good tenets to review. These are just a few other slides from your textbook that kind of deal with some of the main standards that are out there in case management. There is a case management code of conduct. People should become certified in case management. This is the slide that gives you all the case management process, again, which mimics some of nursing process.